What's that? So can we, can I get the letter you got printed by you? Yeah. That letter. Big bank lady, so. Sign papers. I don't know how, but.
Randy, okay, I'm gonna get it, but I'm just trying to figure out why he's saying that it's going to be. I'm not, there's not a fair, I'm better to him. Yes, sir. It's. That's not true. Bring that up. Sure, sure.
Yeah, just come in and see here sometime. Whatever works for you. They might ask you what it's about.
Right now.
So just tell you you talk to me. That's good.
Good problem at all.
I get. I'm glad. You enjoy the neighborhood? I love it. Yeah, something that's. Especially because they're great kids, you know. They come and bring on the kids with their. You know. This. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. My heart still ends. I don't know if you know, but capacity. I'm sitting too. All around. Oh, it's not easy. It's hard to take it. I had Bill. I know Bill. Yeah. I know, yeah. Yeah, I know. Especially if it's somebody is in a position now. It's so interesting that I've heard. It's pretty. Bill August. Some gravy. I think we could see this kind of range. Now my eyes are like Willie. Is there anything that he's already? He's adorable. I have heard something saying. So that's wrong. This job. Once again.
What's your gentleman?
You haven't done yet? No. I suspect so. It's a reserve job. That's where I was fine. Just two months ago. By the way, we need to leave the meeting right here, Chief. We're in the there's some issue there. Yeah, I heard.
I don't think they want to hear a review of the rules. No.
Yeah, I stayed over. It's my last one.
I don't think we should. I say go with the bill, but.
I guess.
Oh, where are my seasons?
You want to sit and I will find which.
I'm sorry. In here, co-chair.
Oh, sure.
I'm still on my end.
Sure. No, check right here.
You guys go. Sanity. It's like into everybody's states. That's okay. To see.
We're gonna start for tonight's meeting for the December 4th Air Planning Commission. We'll stand for a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nicole, you're here. Can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Buffalo,
Here.
Rankle,
No.
No, spring flag. She's here.
this.
Nicole?
Okay. Let's try this again. Atkin,
Yes.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Reedy.
Here.
You know what's supposed to do that. Hicks.
Here.
House,
Here.
Pearson,
Here.
Royals,
Here.
Caudell,
Here.
Hunt, Knuckles,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
Todd,
Here.
Nevers.
Here. All right, before we get started in tonight's meeting, I see we have a large crowd here tonight. I'm assuming you hear about solar. It is not on the agenda tonight. We do have a question and answer or public input at the end of the meeting. At that time, we will address a few, but not all, of your concerns. But we will not be here all night listening. So once we get to that point in the meeting, we'll have a few people come up and speak for or against. We will not be able to take any action tonight as far as what you're wanting. The solar ordinance is passed. It is currently the ordinance in the county. We, as our body, could make recommendations to change that ordinance. But as it stands now, they are the ones that have, it is in effect. So there are some things that we possibly could do, but I would not see that coming out of tonight's meeting at this time. So we do have a slate full of business to do tonight. And the quicker we get through that, the sooner we may be able to address your concerns. Now, when we've had meetings like this before in the past, we did have it out at the fairgrounds because of the large amount of people that we anticipated back then to show up. Not so much tonight, but we are probably in violation of fire code.
We're probably in violation of fire code.
I believe the room can only hold, what was it, 75? If that, 75?
There's last 50,
somewhere, maybe not even that.
like 50. I believe it was 50.
50. So
Years since I stood at the door.
I will proceed, but if somebody, if there is an issue with that and it's notified, we may have to clear some people out of the room. I will say that we need to make sure the exits are open. To this way and through this door, there's, Ryan, I do believe there's exit doors on the other side to the outside.
Yep, clear path.
So if there were to be a situation, we need to leave the building that way. There is through this door to the outside. All right. Approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes actually to approve. Minutes from October 2nd was tabled from the last meeting. And then the meeting from November will also be needing to be approved. I'd like to start back on the October 2nd meeting. That was tabled. Find it where any adjustments called in, or
Grace went back through and shortened.
so the one that we got today is a little bit shorter.
Yes.
Okay. A few moments to review if you did not get a chance to review them.
Chuck, I got a question. You say we shortened them. I know there was discussion in regard to the extent in which we were going to state the minutes. Did we make a decision to shorten them?
It was, there was 2 votes taken.
Well,
One was
this is
to
horribly
accept.
boring.
They always are.
Can we mute the audience? For the WebEx.
Well, there was 2 motions made, neither motion passed, so it was automatically tabled. Dr. Bothwell had talked about either we're going to put everything in or we're going to shorten it down. So we went through and tried to get it more.
But I don't think as a whole, we have not decided what route we want to go.
Well, my only concern is I noticed that there was some discussion that took place that's not in there. And I didn't know that we had made that decision to begin leaving some discussion out. I felt that discussion was important from my perspective, but.
We basically left it tabled. I tried to do what I thought was the intention. We weren't going to pass it as is. The discussion was to reduce it down to basic.
Okay,
Any other discussions?
Is there a possibility that whoever has objections to that, me in this particular case or whatever, might come in and talk about what those things are so that we can present, something you can reject it or whatever, but we probably ought to talk about it. It's pretty important. Things that are left out are pretty important.
But we discussed, we have the video of the whole entire meeting.
Right. So again, I would suggest that with all of our minutes, that we simply record the action that is taken, not what is debated and so on, with a reference at the end of our minutes that a complete transcript is available at breckcounty.gov, whatever it has. It'd be much simpler for everybody and it would eliminate the problems that I have and other people would have too, comments that are omitted or changed,
Right.
So I don't want to be the thing, but we either do it, if we're going to do transcript like minutes, it needs to be done thoroughly, accurately. Or we need to do it just in a minute form and make reference to anybody that's interested can find this at the December meeting, whatever it happens to be. I think that'd be simpler. But anyway, I suggest that we do that.
I do believe all the points of order were in the minutes, and the actions that we took are duly noted. I would take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second? We have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Mr. Caudell and Robert. First and second, call the roll.
I have it fixed.
All right.
Atkins,
No.
Bothwell,
No.
Royals,
Yes.
Cadell,
No.
House,
Yes.
Hicks,
No.
Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
7 yeses.
Passes?
Passes.
All right. Now we'll move on to the minutes from November. November 6th meeting minutes. I could tell, obviously, they were condensed and more shortened to the point compared to the previous one, in my opinion. Any questions on that? Minutes from November the 6th.
I hate to be the fly in the ointment again, but again, there are important things that were said that are omitted. And
Were they said that were like motions that were made and not recorded properly?
Yeah.
Or were they
that's
discussions?
just what I am suggesting is we just deal with motions, not with the statements. But if you're going to deal with anything above and beyond just the motions that are made, then it has to be fully discussed and accurately so. There were things that went on, very important things like we discussed openly at that meeting, but I thought was a very serious infraction of one of our members being called a liar. And we talked about that. And I know, for example, I apologized to the person that had been victimized that way on behalf of this group. That doesn't, it's like that never happened.
But it's in the recordings. If people want to go back and look at it, it's in the recording. And once again, you're saying we should be down to points of order of motions made, and that's what this
Is
reflects.
that all it is? There's nothing else there. That'd be great. And I would
Well-
approve that.
In my interpretation of reading through the minutes, I agree with what's there. That's my opinion.
I'm just now giving an opportunity really to look at the minutes. The minutes that were sent to us by email are not these minutes. So they've been redone, like you guys worked with us trying to.
The only one that's been redone was the one from October.
Yeah.
The second was modified version. The one in the packet is the same one as in the email.
Should go back and do this second.
I don't think so.
Just tell me.
Second, we'll see that. Anyway,
November 6th.
whatever. Let's get on with it. You're going to pass them, so let's get
The motion for
to attend to this as an issue.
the motion for approval of the November 6th meeting minutes. Sprouls first. Got a second? No second. Tyson second. Call the roll.
Atkins,
No, based on the fact I don't know we've made any taken any official action to be able to make this change. So considering that, I don't know.
Bothwell,
Nope.
Royals,
Yep.
Cadell,
No.
House,
Staying.
Hicks,
No.
Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
6. 6 yeses.
So I'm not allowed, it's not breaking a tie, so my vote really doesn't count here. Or can it? Make 7.
Wouldn't count.
I
Was there you prohibited by the rules? Which are?
I think it's going to break a tie or make a tie or unbreak a tie or something like that. But this is to pass something, not break a tie.
Yeah, no.
I'd make a motion that we set aside Robert's rules for this particular issue and allow President to vote on this so that we can get on.
We have a motion, have a second,
I'll second that.
call the roll. So as Mr. Boswell, and is that you, Jerry? Yeah. Okay. A motion to
To suspend
suspend the rules,
the
basically.
right word.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sorry, I got cold. Don't believe we're supposed to go by Robert's rules.
I know,
We're
and
supposed to have our own rules and procedures. Does our rules and procedures say anything about?
Our current rules say that we follow Robert's rules. What you're talking about, Indiana Planning Association, I know the commissioners meeting
Yeah.
state that we shouldn't. But we haven't got to that point to discuss in our actual rules of procedure.
That was one thing I think we're taking away.
Before we took action?
Right.
So take roll. Atkins,
Yes.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Royals,
Yes.
Hudell,
Yes.
Couse,
I'll abstain again.
Hicks,
Yes.
Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
So now I'm allowed to vote?
That's what it says.
Yes.
Yes. Oh. Now pass. 7.
Okay. Going to go to public hearing. We're actually going to do new business first, so if we do have something on the docket. 4.2.1, the rezoning of property, I believe, down in Paramount, if I'm not mistaken. Well, once again, as our duty is here to make a recommendation to the town council of Paramount, either favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation at all. This is a public hearing. Ryan, you want to give a little history and then we'll call up the petitioner?
Sure. This is APC docket 04Z-23, hearing date of December 4, 2023. Petitioners are Keith and Tamara Allen. They are asking for a zoning map amendment, a rezoning from the current R3, residential 3 to RS, an RS zoning district. This is to allow construction of a 1,440 square foot outbuilding without a residence on the property. This is not allowed in R3. Noting that the Allens have found a vacant lot at 324 North Mill Street in Fairmount. They'd like to build a 1,440 square foot outbuilding to house antique tractors. The vacant lot is in an R3 zoning district, which would not allow a accessory structure before a principal structure. They are asking that the vacant lot be rezoned to RS, which if you look below, for accessory structures in residential, suburban, and in agricultural will allow an accessory before a primary. Would note that with the location of it, this would be considered spot zoning. Although we do have on an adjacent property across the intersection, we have a property with only a garage on it also. We received one call that was more inquiry than opposition or in favor of. Property is zoned for residential use. Asking, does the storage unit help or hurt capacity values with the adjacent property already only having a garage on it? There was one thing that did happen. They actually went to the Fairmount Town Board. We're sending forth a recommendation to the Fairmount Town Board. They went to the Fairmount Town Board before coming to us. And on October 23rd, 2023, the Fairmount Town Council already approved this.
Okay.
So we kind of got a cart before a horse.
They did. Yep.
Joanne called me, Treon called me after the fact. I said, yeah, I'm supposed to come here and then back to you guys.
Okay. So public hearing, petitioner gets the 15 minutes or 20? 15?
15.
And then opposed is 20 and then back for 5 for rebuttal. So the petitioner should be here to state, you come to the mic and explain what you'd like to do. You have up to 15 minutes, you or anybody in support of you.
I won't need that. We got a lot of people here that got bigger irons in the fire. Did you guys get handouts that Ryan took copies of? Okay. The reason for the rezoning is like Ryan said, I can't put an outbuilding there without a home first, and that's what it boils down to. Currently, where I live is in the country, just out of the county. We have property that's on Circle Drive in Fairmount. And on that property is a nice home, but there's not much land to put any kind of an outbuilding. Not much at all, in fact. Over the last 30 years, we're into antique tractors, restore them, rebuild them, demonstrate them, take them to shows. This last year, my father-in-law, who I was doing cahoots with, passed away. So I have gone ahead and liquidated a lot of stuff, but quite frankly, there's just some things, and I think Mr. Bothwell knows one of them, but there are just some things that's hard to go. And that includes some tractors that we had. They're restored. That's what this would mainly be, is a storage facility, nothing more. Also, my wife would like to move into town since we have property as we get older. It's easier to take care of the property in town than where we live now. Where we live now, she couldn't really take care of it on her own. So that's why we're looking to come in town. We have the house, we don't have the storage, and that's the whole story in a nutshell. What I was proposing, and I believe you guys have paperwork, I'm not sure what all you have, but it's pole barn construction. The exterior would have an exterior wainscoting. It would be of 2 colors, settled to fit in around. There's a lot of white homes in the area. It's an older section of town. Like Ryan said, there's catty cornered across the corner from this property is I think it's a leftover garage from when it was a residence there. That's why it's there. We checked around town. There are several pole barns in town. I don't know all the statistics behind them and how they got there, but I do know they're there. What I'm proposing would could be approximately 30 by 48. On the front, I don't know if you got elevation pictures. There was a front elevation picture and an example of, like, off the internet, what I'm looking at. It would have 2 overhead doors, one 8x16, which is a 2-car extra height, and an 8x9, which is a 1-car extra height. And if you look at me, you'll know why the extra height. I'm tired of ducking. And always when I go into normal height, although I don't hit it, I come close. With the tractors, the same thing. I have to remove the exhaust pipe to get those in. This would just facilitate. It would also have just 2 windows, 1 main door, and a front porch, covered concrete, as would the whole barn be. That's what I'm proposing. One thing I want to fit in with the community were the collars. The other thing is most pole barns, when you look at them, especially in the country, they're 12, 14, 16, and ag barns are way up there. What I would want to do here is stick with a 10-foot wall, which is 2 foot above the doors, so as it blends in with what's there instead of towers above. And some barns look great with certain collars, wouldn't there. I want to fit in. Actually, I want to disappear. So the construction would reflect that when we choose collars. Height cuff, I don't know if Ryan gave that one. Placement on the property.
Well, that would all fall under the guidelines of building code as far as setbacks and that, to make sure it's legal.
I think we took a copy. I gave a copy of that lot, the dimensions. It does have or it's supposed to have, by record, it does, county record. The corners are marked off by a surveyor. But on that, I had shown Ryan that building could be constructed such as to where, like right now, with your setbacks, I did the drawing with the setbacks. That could be constructed to where once I'm gone, or I can't get there no more to play with my tractors there, it could be sold and you could still put a house there. So it would revert right back to where it is right now. But in my sense, I think it'd be a more marketable setup. This lot's been empty for, gosh, unknown. I think there was a house there that was gone years and years ago. Current owner, which I've already negotiated a price with, he just goes there and mows it and that's it. And he would like to get rid of it, especially to see what we're doing. Like I said, the front of the building would have a 10 by 7 porch. Currently it is vacant. It's R3. There was an attempt this year for somebody else that wanted the property to build, and I'm not too sure why that fell through. I think this is an improvement, especially if you look, if I'm done with the property, whether I'm deceased or my son takes it over, whatever, at least when he would get rid of it, if I didn't, like I said, you could actually put a house where I want to place the building. So it would revert right back to the way it is, well, almost better than what it is right now. It would allow, by changing just this lot, like he said, it's a spot zone, but it is that one property, but it's doing something with it. Where right now there's nothing. The sidewalk is starting to show there. It's literally the owner mows it and that's it. I did go to the town board because quite frankly, I didn't realize I had to come and meet y'all. I didn't realize it. That's the bottom line. When we started this, I went to the town of Fairmount and talked to staff there, put us on the agenda. They've been very good with us and give us a unanimous approval. I think you have a copy of that. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell. There's no business coming in. There's no major agenda. It's myself and my wife. We've got some antique tractors and a couple other things that I would just like to hang on to for a few more years. And that's all it is.
All right.
You won't see people working in there at 2 o'clock at night. You won't hear big machines in there other than what a normal man would have in a garage. I don't know what else to say. It would have no plumbing, just electrical.
Okay.
So that's about all I've got to say.
All right.
Got questions?
Overhang,
Sir?
with the overhang on.
We would have a 2 foot overhang, front and back. As it is, it's faced, not on the address side, it's faced north. North and south side would have a normal overhang.
Which part of the lot,
Pardon?
which part of the lot do you intend to?
The lot goes east and west longer than north and south. I would put it on the east side facing north. And the reason right now, I mean, it can go anywhere on the lot, but right now, number one, to facilitate that option to put a house on the west side.
Yes.
Also on the north side, there are no curbs, there are no sidewalks, anything like that. So when I would put a concrete drive in, I wouldn't have to interrupt anything, tear out sidewalk or anything like that.
Okay. There's still, I imagine, a little bit of time left, under 15 minutes. Anybody else here in support? All right. Anybody here in opposition?
So,
We got 2 people behind opposition for the rezoning.
Yes.
Yes, opposition, you come and state your name. Name and address, I think.
I'm sorry.
Name and address,
Write it down
I believe.
or just tell you.
No, I think they have it written.
Need to write it down for our records.
Okay, I will. My name's Kim Smith and I live next door to the lot the gentleman's talking about. And although those pole barns can be made to look like nice homes, he will have tractors, older tractors, ladder motors, tinkering on them in and out for tractor shows or whatever he wants to do with them. And actually his lot butts up to mine. The property line is inside of a tree, which my swing sits there, but I've always shown Mr. Sullivan, who owned it before, that that's where his property line was. Excuse me, I don't know if the tree will be cut down, but the south side of that building will butt up to both of my bedrooms. So if they're in there messing with motors, starting the engines and everything, that's right next to my bedrooms. And then the pole barn, no, it won't be a business and maybe he won't be able to take care of it eventually. But if it changes hands, who is somebody going to put a garage or what they're going to do? I don't understand why you can put a pole barn that to me is like country inside where residential areas are. And especially with it, maybe I might have 15 foot between the side of that house and where this building's going to go. And there's an alley that runs the length going north-south behind me. And I know they'll make it look nice. I don't want to rain on your parade or anything. But, you know, I've seen things come in and then, yeah, everybody says it's going to be one way and then eventually it goes another way. I don't know why somebody would want to live in the country and then build a pole barn in town in a residential area. And the roads are narrow. There's never been, I don't think, sidewalks or anything on that side of the street. So of course, they'd have to put the overhead doors on the north side to be able to turn in there. It's just a tight road and a busy road. And my main concern is, you know, I've thought about maybe buying that house I'm in, but I won't buy it now. I worry about the depreciation. I mean, it might look nice from the outside, but I just don't want to be woke up with engines and tinkering around with that. And inside a metal building, it would be even louder. So mostly, I mean, that's about it. I'm not used to doing this, so I just don't think it belongs in there between those houses.
Right.
And that's basically it.
Thank you.
Do you want me to write my name here?
Yes, if you would, so we get it in the record. Anybody else in opposition that'd like to speak? See another hand back there. You can come to the podium.
One more thing also, there are several rental houses on the north side of that building. That's why we don't have a lot of people here. My house and the house to the south of me are the only two between Second and Third Street. Then across the street, she lives on the corner. Next to her, it's newer people that just moved in. They're younger. And next to them, they're newer people, been there for a couple of years. Catty corner from them on the northwest corner is Everett Electrics, and it's an old garage that he stores things in and a big vacant lot that he keeps mowed. And so there's just not a lot of people that come up to complain. The people, there's only one house on Third Street on the south side. And it's the side of their house that will butt up to the back of that building. So they won't be really bothered by it. So that's it.
Okay.
Chuck, can I ask her a question?
Yes.
Ma'am? I was wondering, were you aware that the gentleman had approached the Fairmount Town Board and
No, I
you
was
were able to
not.
speak at that time?
No, we were not notified in these letters, certified letters. The dates on her envelope, I didn't pick mine up. I've been started a new job. And I knew what some neighbors across the street, the letter said, but we were not notified of that. And for the town to approve it, it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse.
Okay.
The town said yes, but yet got the second for the rezoning.
Thank you.
Well, we make a recommendation, so they'll probably go back and I would think they'd probably revote, I would think.
I mean, I'm sure it's a parade. It's great what they're trying to do. I'm for antiques and all that, but it's just not. I don't think it's the right area for it.
Fairmount would be the legislative body, so they would have to plan a show.
Oh, okay.
We are a recommended body.
Okay, I misunderstood it then.
You live next door, you did not get?
I got this letter about this meeting, but we weren't notified of the town board.
Okay.
Where I started my new job, I heard about it.
We send out the certified to us.
Okay.
I got
That's-
it on Friday.
Like you said, you didn't. So I just want to make sure.
The dates that are on hers, that's not true. This says the day before Thanksgiving. And I watched him, I didn't know what woke me up that day, but it was the mailman knocking on the door. And he was already across the street by the time I came out. And I wondered why he was taking so long, and he was filling out the forms to leave on the doors. But one gal came out, and she called and let me know what it was about. But on hers, it says that it was returned 12/7. We aren't even to the 7th yet. So I go figure. They're done that.
Yeah. Okay. Name and make sure you fill out the thing there. State your name, please.
Linda Starkey.
Okay.
I've lived in that house for 56 years. And, I consider it my forever home, and
Where are you? Where is that house?
it's going to be directly across from his barn. When I look out my front door, that's all I'll see. When I sit on my front porch, that's all I'll see. I have grandkids that come. I don't want them to be around, all the traffic and this, whatever that's going on over there. But anyway, I just feel like living there 56 years, I should have a little bit of say in what goes in over there. But I'm not a very much of a speaker either, but I just don't feel like that's the right area. It's a residential area. That's not what I bought when I bought the house. I didn't buy it to be, buildings and businesses like that. So,
All right.
and I didn't know about the meeting at Fairmount, and I just got this
Well,
Friday.
like I think was stated earlier, you got the cart before the horse, so we will make some type of recommendation to the town council of Fairmount, and I would imagine they would readdress the situation. That would be up to them and their attorney on if they feel that's proper, which I would think would be. And then you should have an opportunity to speak at that meeting because you should know about it.
There's a meeting Monday,
Is there? Okay, thank you.
7:00.
Anybody else?
I'm so nervous, I can't really write.
Anybody else in opposition? All right, so then you'll be able to come back and do a 5-minute rebuttal or address any issues or concerns that might have been brought up, like she's finished filling out here.
It's actually 10.
Is it 10?
It's 15:25.
Okay, equal time. That's true.
Guess I can't add.
That's why it would help me. Yes.
Legitimate concerns, I'll give her that. And I had big notes on the one she said. The trees, I never even thought about, they're over by the alley. They wouldn't be touched because they're not where I want to place the house like he was asking. The trees aren't an issue. Going to shows and all the noise. I kind of pride myself in these tractors are not loud. They're restored. They're original. They're not hot rodded. Everything on them are original. So the noise part, loading up, going to shows. I haven't been to a show or taken equipment to a show for 2 years because my father-in-law was sick for one. He passed earlier this year. Half of the equipment, no. Almost all the equipment that we would take to shows. I've had plows and saws, you name it. That's all been sold. This is literally the tail end of what we had. One, for example, one is a 1940 Farm All Age. It was the one my father-in-law used before he went to General Motors in farming. He restored it from the ground up. I helped him, and we have another one that's the same shape. And now I've got some antique garden tractors too. So it's nothing big. There's nothing in the middle of the night. There's probably never will be another show. It's not much fun when you go by yourself or take your wife. So, no, she didn't get that. But the alley, there is an alley there. It hadn't been traveled on in probably 50 years. In fact, it's hard to see because it's grass. The way the setback, I believe what she's concerned with the trees is where the alley is. And it's not used. In fact, if you look north or you look south, the alley has been encroached on with structures. So I don't think the alley is much of an issue. The road, she said, is pretty busy. It's 2-block road that tees off on this corner. No, it doesn't. It's in the first two. No, it does not tee off. It's in the second intersection from Main Street. There's not a whole lot. Main Street's the main, Washington's the other east-west main. I don't think it has that much traffic. We sat there and actually heard into that. The town agenda, like I said, we weren't aware. We did when we talked to them, they said, we'll put you on the agenda, come on in, which we did, just following orders. I'm just trying to get a little building to be built, and you wouldn't believe the hoops I've been through so far. If it wasn't for Ryan helping out, I wouldn't even know how to do it. We are on the town agenda. Joanne has already put us on Monday. She was trying to help us expedite this. This has been going on since October to try to come up with this. I did not know I had to come to you guys. That's why I didn't at first. And this is a residential area. They are older homes with no growth in the area. This would be growth. She mentioned something about somebody else that would want to buy it in a garage. This will be the best garage in the whole area. It's just, it would be from what's there.
Garage, it's a full bar.
No.
It's a full construction. The exterior will be made collars and all that, and we talked about the height. So that's all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion before you ask for a recommendation?
Ryan, is my understanding clear that in the event that there was a house there, there would be no need for us to be here today?
Correct.
Okay.
It's only because we're doing an
Because
accessory
the
prior
house
to
is
the
not
primary.
there.
The other house has been gone maybe 10 years ago.
Is it meeting all setbacks and so forth required for this in the event that there would have been a house there?
It would. I mean, he's got it's a vacant lot. So depending on where he's going to put it on the lot is where we would go from setbacks. And again, I know this is spot zoning and I know we don't like to do it, but we have, this is on where Back Creek is located. It's kind of on the edge of the addition. And again, adjacent across the intersection is a garage without a house. So there is a like property right beside it.
Okay. Where that house has been torn down, similar to this situation.
Right.
Mr. Merlock, what is your recommendation?
I put forth no recommendation, but that's easy knowing that the town of Fairmount has already approved it. And again, we got no opposition. It's got like property next to it. It's not in the middle of a neighborhood. It's on the edge of a neighborhood.
I think you're no recommendation because we are not the decision maker in this case.
Yeah, I
Let's go back to Paramount and Mr. Royals. I think they should be able to address that. And I'd like to make one comment for those people who are in opposition to that. I happen to know Mr. Allen. You couldn't find a nicer person with more character than Mr. Allen. So please rest assured you're going to be okay that way if the town board determines to permit that. I'd make the motion that we send this back to the town board with a no recommendation and allow them to make their decision.
Any
I'll second
second?
that motion.
Okay, got a first and a second. Call the roll.
Atkins.
Yes.
Bothwell.
Yes.
Royals.
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
House.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Hunt, or sorry, Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
passed.
All right, thank you. Okay, next in your packet is setting the agenda dates or meeting dates for 2024. Should be, I believe, the last page on the packet. They can follow the normal procedures. The first Mondays of the month, unless there's a holiday, then it pushes it back a week. Generally, no meetings in July. So we basically adopt this in this meeting so that we have a calendar set for the next year.
The one addition to this that we don't normally have is I don't know, you might have said it after I was talking to him, that June 26th meeting for budget.
So that's, yeah, because we added that this year. Okay, so we did, yeah, for budget, final budget approval from us. Or
But I usually get budget following the June meeting and it's due back in before you guys ever meet again.
Okay,
So we did the 26th, so I could put the budget together, present it to you prior. So that was added.
Did we do that as a regular meeting or?
It'll be too late. If we waited till, we don't meet in July, we wait till August, it's too late because the county has to have that in.
I'm suggesting that we do it as a special meeting,
Yeah, that's what he's saying on June 26th.
but not part of the regular.
Right,
Meeting.
that meeting would be designed just for budget. There's no opposition to the calendar. I'll accept the motion to approve the 2024
I'll
schedule.
make the motion, we approve the 2024 schedule meetings and filing dates for the area plan.
I got a first,
I'll second.
Jerry second, call the roll.
Who's the second? I missed it.
Jerry.
I should put it as
Yeah, we're bouncing all around here, aren't we?
Atkins,
Yes.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Royals,
Abstain.
Waddell,
Yes.
House,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
All right. Before we get back to rules and procedures, we'll continue down. A reminder, so the first meeting in January is election of officers. Just as a reminder. For expiring terms, we just have one, and I believe that's been reappointed, correct?
Dr. Bothwell was reappointed.
Reappointed from the representing school superintendents, I believe. Of course, the next meeting will be January 8th, 2024. Back up real quick, 5.1. Mr. Glickfield, you got anything for us?
Yeah, we went to court on a few properties a couple of weeks ago, got orders of demolition on a couple of those properties, and we're working on the other one.
All right. Good. Ryan, you got a short and sweet and simple?
I'll try to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
One thing that we've got going on right now over in Upland, Upland has become townhouse crazy. We've got 3 projects over there that are going to be townhouses. J.G. Bowers has a 6 townhouse development coming. Barclay Builders has a 14 townhouse coming, and Taylor called me about what is needed for, they're talking about tearing down a church or something like that that they own and doing townhouses. In our ordinance, we have our setbacks and regulations for single family, two family and multifamily, but we don't have anything for townhouses. Townhouses are built a separate way. They're put together with a property line in between to make, if there are three or more, they can go up to 15. So we need to look at some regulations for townhouses. That's just kind of to put it out there because they're coming right now.
So I imagine there are state standards that we would basically
Yeah.
follow, but
Yeah, I'll get some stuff together, but just to kind of, been here 10 years and never had a townhouse built. Now all of a sudden, in the course of 2 months, there's going to be 30 of them coming.
oh my,
So
that's good news though.
couple of things, talked to Bill Walters, when we're in the talking about the comp plan. He knows kind of where we're at and what's going on. He actually offered us an intern for 15 hours a week. Talk to Justin, as long as they put the paperwork and stuff together, we can have an intern. I don't know the duration yet. For 15 hours a week, he doesn't care what they do, as long as they work 15 hours a week. And they'll pay for them and everything. So with the comp plan and stuff coming, we got offered an intern. So that was kind of neat.
Is there any objection on the commission here is accepting and using an intern to help? I think when Brian and I were talking, maybe help back data entry into the new software and get that process
We still have
accomplished quicker.
a lot of 2021 and 2022 permits to get into the new software. So we got plenty for them to do.
That and anything else, but it would help that. Is there any objection to having an intern being paid out of the other funds other than the county funds?
Be under Ryan's direction.
I would assume, yes.
Yeah. And I talked to Justin and Bill had called, talked to Justin too about putting paperwork. So we're not held liable. They're taking care of all the pay. All he needs to know is they work 15 hours a week.
And you'd be willing to give us some sort of direction on what your intent to use him for with the report of the result of that?
We're going to put them on old permits.
Okay.
Rita did it for 6 months and we were about halfway there. So, I mean, we still got 1.5 years of old permits to get into the new software.
So that might help eliminate that 1,400 or something that we're behind, or is that a different situation altogether?
This would be, we paid for legacy. So we had permits all the way back to 1997.
Okay,
So from 1997 to 2020, we paid a legacy fee to have all of that uploaded and put into Excel form. So once it is uploaded, we can't change it or manipulate it. But we still had, at that time, permits open from 2021, 22, and 23. So those we are physically putting in so that we can manipulate them, close them, do finals, coups, and so forth.
so paper to digital.
Right. So that's what we're working on, getting caught up to today. So when we got time, Rita, like I said, Rita for the first 6 months while we were trying to get the new software up and running, that's all she was doing, was putting the old permits in.
Okay. We need to vote on that.
I think we ought to make a formal motion to show that we agree.
I'd be still moved to allow for an intern to be utilized at Ryan's discretion.
Tyson makes the motion. Second. Royal second. Call the roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Royals,
Yes.
Waddell,
Yes.
Couse,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
All right, anything else, Ryan? I know we
Two more quick things.
okay.
We have got for our agenda next month, and this will be news for a lot of us. Jonesboro is being asked to be put on the agenda for us to look at. They're wanting to create a TIF area in Jonesboro. I don't know that TIFs have ever come through the Area Plan Commission before. I did talk to Lisa Lee, who was with Ice Miller, who Jonesboro has has hired to do this, and she says, because I had also got with Angie, our auditor, and asked her, and she said most of the time that just shows up for them to record on their end of it. The email says the city of Jonesboro does not need approval of the county council to create a TIF area. They do need the approval of the plan commission with jurisdiction over the proposed area. So just know, I don't, have you ever had a TIF come through? You're
Yes.
probably our,
I
know
had
you
established the one in Gas City. It was one of the first in the state.
Went through the plan commission, I guess.
yes, I don't know that we've ever had one come through.
Not in my memory.
Yeah, so just to be, that'll be on the agenda next month, but just wanted to make everyone aware. The other thing, we need to be putting together for a comprehensive plan. If anyone saw in the paper last week, they did run the RFQ, the week of the 28th. Those requests are due back by December 28th, with looking, for a scoring committee to start looking at interviewing the first week of January. So we need to discuss a scoring committee, according to Mr. Kleinfield. It should be 3 to 5 members with a good round background. So my thoughts were, commissioner, council member, school, something like that. But we need to have that put together by the end of this month for the first month of January.
What are we scoring?
So the scoring, I believe, there's advertisement out there for people to putting bids in to do the comprehensive plan. So you could get 2, 3, 4, 5 companies, firms that want to do the comprehensive plan. The scoring committee grades each one of them. There's a format. If you're on town council, you've probably been through them, grades them, kind of ranks them, and then you make your selection from, I don't think you have to take the top one, but that'd be something that, we walked through. Grade them as far as who should potentially have the job.
Through written and oral interview?
Yeah, this will, according to Mr. Kleinpeter, I mean, this will be a 3 or 4 hour each type of interview process. And however we want to do that is up to us. He will be here to help.
Sign me up.
But he said we need to have 3 to 5 and to look at, since the comprehensive plan is everything, to kind of look at someone to represent something in everything.
So those members can be within us, but we could also go outside of us to be part of it. So it doesn't have to be limited just to us.
Right. So at the same time, I want Mr. Kleinfield to come in and also outline roles.
Right.
Because we know in Indiana code that it is to go through the area plan commission for recommendation to the commissioners. But when we have talked to Bill and Mr. Kleinpeter in here, it was whatever the commissioners want, whatever it was commissioners, like we were going to get bypassed. So I would like him, with solar, I would like to have that outlined before we ever start. Here's what you're doing, that way there's no question.
Right, as far as
Who's got what roles.
Right.
So this committee that you're proposing to put together, should that be done before we have instructions from him? I mean, is there a reason why that needs to be done?
He says at least 3 to 5 names of people on the comp plan interview scoring committee entitled. So these are my 5 things he wants me to do. I've got 4 of them taken care of. The only one I don't is putting together a scoring committee.
So we only have one volunteer.
You do.
Citizens member, agricultural end, so that would be good.
I'll help.
Educator?
Really? You said because you're school, so you should be able to represent the school angle, which would be important. And I don't know, ideally it should be the county council, county commissioner, because they're legislative bodies and with the monies. That would potentially be maybe our representative or somebody from their group, whether it be us or, I mean,
I'm bringing it to you guys.
right,
I didn't want to come in here.
or Frank or
Thanks, council.
council, if it'd be you or somebody within your council that would be available. May take it back to your group and, or you by default, I don't know. Okay, so we're getting there. County Commissioner Steve, although you guys reorganized beginning of the year, so
So we'll figure that out, let you know.
that's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
BZA?
Yeah, I would represent BZA. And we make decisions based on the comprehensive plan.
I don't know if they, is that, because we're just basically, we're the ones making the comprehensive plan, right? Planning Commission is one that develops it.
Yeah, it's just like ordinance. I mean, we're basically going to put it together, put it to public hearing,
Right.
and send forth a recommendation to the commissioners.
Do we need any outside help as far as
It's
like
it's
economic-
permitted, though, isn't that what you just said a little bit ago? Didn't have to be just
Right,
within our
right.
group, it is permitted to have.
Right.
So like, do we need anybody from like the business world, so to speak, economic development? Or someone in that? You think so? Because that would be the business end, agriculture end, the school end. I know. That would get us to 5 if we have somebody from the business end.
Reach out to Tim Eckerly.
Well, he's kind of retired. I mean, he knows a lot.
He's actually, but I have got a couple we've got a couple of companies that have touched base knowing what we're doing. One company forwarded him a proposal that he sent forward to me that I sent to Mr. Kleinbeater. So he knows what we're doing. I mean, I don't know if he's.
I don't want to step on, I think we need to go to the actual redevelopment people before, make sure that's okay. Or if they want to do it, I don't think we want to, personally, that's what I think, I'll go through the proper channels. If, and he may be the one they would want to have do it, or they may be the ones that want to do it.
I might be able to shed a little bit of light on Mr. Eckerly. When I worked with Mr. Wynn closely. I was president of the Economic Redevelopment Commission in Cass City when we were extending utilities, et cetera, out to I-69, and we established a TIF zone, one of the first ones around. And Mr. Eckerly was, someone that we couldn't have done without. He had contacts in Indianapolis that made it. So
No,
Tim
I would agree, he'd be that a good fit. I just don't want to.
helped us a great deal in establishing one of the first ones in Indiana. So
That was my first thought.
I have no objection to it. I just don't want to step on people's.
He said, tell me if you need any help. I don't know if he.
Yeah.
Meant that amount.
And, I don't see anything wrong with, is it Mr. Hartman?
Yeah.
Was you, Ed? That
Yeah.
volunteered?
That gets us up to potentially 6.
Why don't we put both of them there? Or bring at least Mr. Eckerly in as an advisor. Talk to us.
That idea.
And the BZA does have something to do with the comprehensive plans. I don't think that would be out of line. And I think Mr. Eckerly is, would be beneficial for us to have his expertise in this area.
I agree. I have no objection with Mr. Eckerly. But I'm just saying, I don't want to step on feet because there's other people that are in that position and they may defer and say, yes, that'd be good. If that's fine with me. Do we need to go more than 5? They said 3 to 5.
Right.
I don't know if we want to go to 6 and bring in 6 department.
That gives you 6 if we talk, if Ed comes on and we talk, with Mr. Eckerly.
We could have him in as an advisor and keep your meeting or your committee at 5 and ask Mr. Eckerly to assist. wouldn't be,
I mean, nothing's set in stone.
Yeah,
He said typically 3 to 5.
Okay.
And I'm sure he's not going to say forget.
Anybody have any objections to putting forth these names? Okay, you got the names to run with.
Gotcha.
And that may happen before the first meeting of next month, potentially. At least to sit down and go over instructions and all that.
Yeah, I'll get something out there.
All right. Anything else out of your office before we move on to rules and procedures?
Yep, that's it.
Chuck, I don't know whether this is appropriate, but considering our situation here, I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the rules of procedure, move into public input, try and get out here at a decent time.
I'll second that.
Discussion? I would be inclined if we have another public meeting dedicated to rules and procedures before the end of this year, so we can get this thing done. We need to get it done.
I need to speak to that a little bit if we need. I agree with what you're saying, Randy, is we do need to move to these folks as soon as possible tonight. As far as rules and procedures have to be done immediately and that kind of thing, there is some conflict there. Your original rules and procedures committees have been ready to report to you for almost 2 years now. And instead of doing that, we created enough. There's going to be discussion on that rules. There's going to be some conflict, some debate, et cetera. So let's not, try to force things through at this point. Let's take this and move the rules and procedures to our January meeting.
Robert, Mr. Boswell,
That's
I'm going to go back in the summer. We created a group. When we sat down, the 4 or 5 of us sat down, the first thing we reviewed was all the recommendations you turned in. That was the first thing we did. And then we moved on to other things. Then we came back and presented it at the meeting. And then that's what we're working through, taking in some of the things that you had recommended and many of those things that.
Anything. We have a committee and we never got the opportunity to even talk to you, to your new committee that Brian set up.
You were invited.
Or to hear.
It was brought out. You were invited to be part of that. And there was no response. And Randy at the last minute says, Bob, if he.
This is going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be, Bob, the thing, we need to move along.
I would second Mr. Atkins' motion to move.
This is discussion still.
Committee.
I would say
sometime in the future so that we can get to the folks here in the audience. So I second that.
Open discussion, any more discussion?
I think we should move on. And Dr. Bothwell had plenty of opportunity to show up the meetings that I was at and make his contribution. I think we should go ahead and approve these darn things so we can move ahead. And then at least people can do whatever they need to do, make their cases. But I would like to see this. We've been sitting on it too long, we've been playing with it too long, and there's always some excuse, oh, I didn't get the information, wasn't invited. Well, we need to move on and approve this. That's my discussion.
As I stated before, Dave, I think it'd be a misfortune for us not to have the, discussion within this panel. As part of that group that came up with this draft, I don't think any of us had the intent of this being passed without some discussion from the group. And I think to not have that discussion would be a real disservice to the rules of procedure in which this operation is going to function.
Well, if we don't approve it, there won't be no functioning, so I don't.
We still have rules of procedure that we're operating under. And we will operate under those existing rules of procedures until these are approved. Correct?
Yes.
In the meantime.
But we keep delaying and delaying and delaying.
And delaying. Delaying for purpose of delaying.
That's what I read.
December.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion, second on the floor to basically table the reviewing of rules and procedures. Call the roll. Wait a minute.
I believe you modify that pending another meeting gets called to discuss it in December.
Well, that was in discussion.
That's what. Yes.
Okay, Robert, do you still second that?
No.
Nope.
I'll second it.
Is that on the Hoyle, Mr. Glickfield?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is to table the current rules and procedures for tonight with the intent to have another meeting before the end of the year to work on solely rules and procedures. All right.
Yes.
Bothwell,
No.
Royals,
No.
Odell,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Nevers,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
That's what this means.
Okay. Now we gotta look at our calendar. Today is the 4th. Ryan, do you know availability of this room?
I'll have to check with Justin. I'm thinking December 18th, but I'll have to see if the health department's in here. They're usually in here at like 6.
In at 6 or done by 6?
They're usually in here by 5 because they're gone before 6.
You want to check availability?
Yeah.
What does December 18th? Be a first shot? Check availability.
I think that only gets into one town's meeting.
Who has that?
Monday.
Well, with the holiday, yeah.
Ours are Wednesdays.
It might be.
Well, next Monday is our only meeting in December.
Okay, it won't.
Okay, so let's shoot for the 18th. Do we want to try to do it at 6 if we can get into the room before that, rather than 7? If the health department or the room's available at 6, shoot for 6. All right,
December 18th at 6.
that's good. That's the goal. That's the health department's here. We may have to back it up a little bit. All right.
Like, so the understanding that we don't necessarily have to approve.
No, we just need to keep working. Keep working.
Okay.
Keep working. Yeah, because we're doing line by, or section by section, or page by page, yes.
You gonna advertise that?
Yeah.
It's kind of spatial.
They'll have to because we don't have every member here.
Not required to go through a public hearing.
If,
Just out of,
It'll be 40.
that'll be a public hearing. Public meeting, I mean,
that needs to be advertised.
Yep.
48 hours.
Yeah. I'd do it soon.
do it sooner than later.
Yes.
Sole business will be reviewing rules and procedures. I believe there's no other business at this time. We'll be opening up for public input. It is, what time is it here? 8:14. I do not want to be here all night. I understand there's a lot of concerns. I got about 20 minutes on speaking, 20 minutes apiece. Somewhere around there. And then if there's any opposition,
Shoot for the 9.
There's a lot of people here. I think they might deserve.
well, I will say that we do not want to hear the same thing over and over and over again.
I think that's a really bad attitude to have.
Well, if we have the same topic or same opposition point, then other people may not get to view their point. The same one keeps coming up, let's say setback, setback. Then somebody else that may have something about the way the screening is or things like that may not have an opportunity to talk.
Let's test the water.
It is 8:15, we'll go to 8:45. And then we'll give opposition or the people that may be, if there are people here, in favor at that time. All right, it's 8:15, we'll go to 8:40.
Thank you. Harold King, 707 South Sim Street, Swayze. Solar companies want everything done under the cover of darkness. When people sign up, they, by contract and law, cannot speak about their property being solar. We're not allowed to talk. The current solar ordinance was ran through by the 3 county commissioners. There is nothing in that solar ordinance that protects the 99% of people that are going to have to live with that next to their dwellings. The people that are going to make money on this are a handful of farmers and a bunch of solar people that are going to get rich. The companies are going to make out. There is no protection. There's no property value in there. The setbacks are very solar friendly. If you people had been aware of what was going on, you would have been at every meeting. I've been fighting this in Delaware County too. Stephen Miller, a professor at Michigan State, did a study for Madison County. End of 30 years, the tax revenue was negative for solar. It's not going to make you rich. Would like to read, I've spent the last 4 or 5 days talking to my friends and neighbors out on 9th Street. And one person, everyone is adamantly opposed to this, but one wrote a letter that he wanted me to read. My name is Michael Spalding, and I reside at 7895 West N 00 South in Swayze. I am a voter and a taxpayer. I am also in opposition to any solar equipment being installed for commercial purposes on or near my property. This includes any location that may be perceived or proven to be in line of sight from any direction of my home and property. The sole reason I purchased my home and property is because it lies in an agricultural area which in my lifetime has zero potential for further commercialization or annexed in any neighborhood, town, or cities. This is also the reason that many of my neighbors have located to these properties that lie adjacent to the agricultural property where solar is now coming. They stand united with my family in great opposition to solar equipment or farms anywhere in this vicinity. Give me about 30 seconds. We are currently already having drainage issues around our properties that need to be addressed. We are also having tax increases. I am opposed to any tax abatements for solar, easement accommodations for solar, or any other special accommodations for solar. The reason the solar companies does this in the dark of night, they know nobody near that wants it. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was King.
Jackie Sheets from Southern Grant County. The solar ordinance number 4 that was adopted, it cannot stand as is because it had no public hearing. That is illegal according to the Indiana code. If you want to check that out, it's illegal. So we got to send that back, change it, do something. And have you guys heard of this 15-minute city that's coming up to Fort Wayne in Allen County? 15-minute city, anything about it? Today I sent you guys an email about this little video. And the reason for all this solar push, it comes all the way from the United Nations coming down to us. And this 15-minute city is going to take all of our solar to feed this city. This place is called LEAP, America's newest sustainable community, thriving with greater ecological diversity through regenerative development. It's going to take 800 acres. The UN, it's all tied into the land grab across the Corn Belt. Issues with carbon capture pipelines. You guys need to study up on this stuff. Injector wells, they want to deplete the aquifers. This is all foreign stuff to me, so please check it out, okay? They are asking for 17 million acres to be put into solar in Indiana. Indiana only has 23 million acres in it. So they're going to take every bit of food from us. And they're going to be making our meat in a lab because we're not going to have any land to grow our food on. And in that video that I sent you, it discusses that we will have to find other sources of food. So if any of you are ready to eat lab grown meat, have at it, but I'm not in it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I want to introduce myself. My name is Trent Duckwall. I'm from Van Buren. I've been hearing more and more about solar companies and how they wanted to take agricultural land out of production and from local farmers. I myself have been working on a fifth generation family farm for close to 25 years now, working ground, living hogs, fixing equipment, and tending this land to ensure the next generation can have something to work for. It is truly a gift from God. With that, I wanted to touch on the November 6th meeting in regards to transparency. I feel that this is very important, and if not the most important thing to our agriculture community and its residents. Upon talking with local farmers and residents, it's become apparent very few people know about solar power companies, leases, locations, and its magnitude. It's a blatant disservice to the community if the facts are not presented and available to the community that has to live within it. When my family was applying for a confined feeding animal operation, we were required to post an ad in the Chronicle Tribune and to sign in our property stating a potential CAFO location at the time and the time of the next APC meeting for when people could attend. Why is this not required today for solar power? Our CAFO operations take up 5 acres. 5 acres of land, and as mentioned, required an ad in the paper and a sign in the yard with information, yet the solar leases are up to 6,000 acres and have required no such notification to its residents. How can something of this magnitude not require acknowledgement from even just the homeowner across the street? Just think about this, just think about the effect this will have. I'm also wanting to speak to the recent sales of all AEP and Duke Energy renewable energy programs. These sales have taken place just this year, and most of you may not know, with AEP being our service provider throughout this county, this should be something that's concerning. AEP spokesperson speaks to the sale of the renewables as de-risking their profile and a shift to a balanced generation profile, meaning natural gas and nuclear. Solar power is risky, but this county is considering having a large-scale solar on farms, yet not having an ordinance that protects our farms. Residents or even the leasee, we're in for a lot of trouble in the future. There's nothing protecting us. The reason for AEP selling their renewables is so they can eliminate the overhead cost and buy the renewables from a third-party solar company. Solar is a heavily subsidized industry. So when these government subsidies end from the Green New Deal and utilities are no longer required to purchase solar by law, they can wash their hands of it, focus on other clean energies. That will in turn leave us with thousands of acres of solar panels and power with no use, or even worse, abandonment altogether, and leave null contracts once sold to third parties. This to me and most people in this room would consider a high risk and not worth the reward. In summary, our farm ground in Grant County is our most prized possession and needs to be protected from large solar so that us farmers can continue to work day in and day out to provide for our families. Others make a living and pass on to the next generation. So I ask of our commissioners and our area plan committee to work together as one and put together an ordinance that is sufficient in protecting its people and the ag community. Thank you.
Hello, name's Kyle Schaefer. I'm a fourth generation farmer in Van Buren Township. I'm very much opposed to the proposed solar farms, quote unquote, in my township and the county as a whole. I think we need to change the names of these things to solar grifts. The definition of grift is to engage in petty or small scale swindling. This is the swindling of taxpayer dollars to make a limited few individuals and some large companies rich. You cannot farm the sun, you cannot eat the sun, and this will not benefit the people around them. This is nothing but a grift for the parties involved, paid for us by us taxpayers that have to look at them. It's aggravating to hear that one of our commissioners doesn't think that 200 angry farmers' opinions don't matter. Those 200 angry farmers throw a lot of dollars through this county every year, and we should be heard. Generations have poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this land, and to see our government bend over backwards for corporations who could care less about the land and the generations that made it what it is today for some tax dollars is despicable. I would like to tell a story that involves my family who were sucked into a similar situation. My great-grandfather was approached about leasing out his land for a landfill here in Grant County. He was told he was going to get X amount of dollars per acre, and he would be able to farm the land when all was said and done. The man that ran the landfill was a crook, allowed the dumping of anything and everything, embezzled most of the money, filled above what was agreed upon in the beginning. When it was all said and done, took the money and ran. The landfill was never cleaned up and capped off because the bond money had disappeared with him. Now our family is stuck with this piece of property we can do nothing with because it is too expensive to close the fill site. I see this being what will happen in the future with these solar grifts. The solar companies will run out of subsidies, file bankruptcy because the panels won't produce enough to cover operating expenses, and they will disappear and leave thousands of acres full of these eyesores that my generation and my children's generation will have to cover the cost to clean up. I ask of you to put an end to this nonsense and think about what kind of future you will leave for my generations and the generations after me. Thank you.
Nolan Highway, 5232 West 600 North, Marion, Indiana, 46952. Good evening. Thank you all for attending tonight. Looks like a nice crowd. I want to touch on the topic of how solar will inadvertently impact the agriculture industry in Grant County. The APC talks about how solar will greatly increase our tax revenue as a county. What they are not equating for is what this is going to take away from our tax revenue as a county. You have to think not only about the property taxes we as farmers pay, but the taxes from selling our commodities locally to CIE, AgriCorps, purchasing our inputs through Co-Alliance, Nutrien, purchasing equipment through John Deere Case, and that's just to name a few. The point is, it's all done locally and it stays here within our county. Farmers are loyal to this county and have been for many generations and will continue to be. You understand what solar will do to the value of farmland in Grant County? There will be no competition. You are providing a direct conduit for large corporations or a foreign country to control the very land that we are founded upon. We are already facing record prices. We do not need this. They're willing to put solar on our most productive land. In the last 4 to 5 years, this whole country has gotten so farther away from our core values and what we were founded upon. We who are invested in Grant County cannot understand why you guys cannot see this for what it is. Have you guys ever been told it's too good to be true? This is a perfect scenario for that saying. Our generation, or worse, our children's generation, will be left to clean up your mess. It's in our heritage, and we are passionate about this county and the farm. On a personal note, in 2018, I explored a CAFO operation, confined animal feeding operation for pork production. When I first tossed around the idea and started talking to people about this, so many people told me, go to Wabash County, you won't have any luck here in Grant County. I thought a lot about that for many nights laying in bed, and I decided that I needed to keep my tax dollars here in Grant County, where my family has been invested for 130 years. I wanted this to stay here and support my county. I hit the ground running and obtained a contract with Indiana Packers. I applied for my IDEM permit and quickly obtained my permit. We then went to Grant County to start the application process and quickly learned that we need to hire an attorney to be able to stand a chance of getting something simple done. That being said, right there is wrong. You guys approved my application with conditions. We felt good about where we stood. We went back to the drawing board and met the conditions. And your excuse was it will affect public welfare of the fellow citizens of Grant County. And you denied my application. My then proved out that it will affect any public welfare. Therefore, how can the APC ignore that these solar companies' contracts are stating that they will have no responsibility for the damage of public welfare? The only thing my CAFO is going to affect was your emotions by approving the application and the backlash that you would get for doing your job and following the ordinance that was put before you. It is really tough for me to swallow that the APC will allow solar on ag zone land, but you will not let ag take place on ag zone land. The setback for a CAFO is a quarter mile, and you're proposing a 300-foot setback for solar? None of us understand. You wasted 3 years of my time, $50,000 out of my pocket, and made a fool out of all of us in the agriculture industry in Grant County, as well as the IDEM department. You have never respected the agriculture industry, and it has never been more clear than now. This is just one example of many stories throughout the years. This local democracy is a hypocrisy, and it's gone on for way too long, and it's time for a change. We need some fresh blood. We cannot stand for this, and we have to stand up for what is right for the future. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking into consideration all these people. We're sick of it. You think that's funny? What are you looking for with a smile on your face? Yeah. Funny. Dale Brindle, 8132 Williams Pike. Here's an address for you, 1512 West Crane Pond Drive. Does that sound familiar to anybody? The home located here is for Crane Pond Farm Builders Association. The HOA covenants of that HOA. So restricted covenant number 2 reads as follows: nuisances prohibited. No purchase or offensive trade or activity shall be carried on any lot in Crane Pond 5, nor shall anything be done in Crane Pond 5 which may be or become an annoyance or nuisance to the residents of the neighborhood. Restrictive covenant number 6 says chain link fences are not permitted in Crane Pond 5. Why is this relevant? These HOA restrictions protect that neighborhood from unsightly additions that would devalue properties within it. This man right here lives in that HOA. Does anyone see the irony of Steve relying on these protections of his HOA while at the same time forcing these massive nuisances and chain link fences on the rest of us? Can the members of Area Plan provide to us any hard data for how these solar installations will affect values? Nobody in the right mind can explain how 20-foot tall power and chain link fence with barbed wire could not affect our property values. Can you not see, you APC members, can you not see that you are being manipulated by Steve and his counterpart, Mark? Not only that, you're being intentionally bypassed and kept in the dark so they can pass anything with impunity. You should realize how wrong this is and how important it is to maintain the balance of power. Steve, you said you had 66,000 people to take care of. Why are you protecting the people who live in cities and not those of us in the country? Why are you abdicating your responsibility to all your constituents? What are you doing by focusing this future landfill material on people you clearly have no regard for? Last time I spoke in front of this committee, you took great offense to the suggestion that you may be corrupt. Well, your actions here have furthered my suspicion. You clearly have these solar companies to be more of a representation of us burdened by these installations. You do not show any respect to the people of Grant County who come to you with legitimate concerns about these installations. You don't even respect the people of Area Plan. Why do you regularly disrespect the legal process? Where is draft number 7? Where are you and Bardsley hiding? So you and Bardsley hiding from the Area Plan when you draft 7 and return with your own draft 4? The members of Area Plan need to start holding these conspirators accountable and ask them why they're active or leave out Area Plan from the decision-making process. Steve, you should hang your head in shame for what you're doing to us, and if you had any integrity left, you resign immediately. You clearly do not have what it takes to represent the people of Grant County. You were foolishly appointed to your position. But you have to wonder why. Would it have anything to do with the $40,000 you were paid by Bardsley in March of 2021 for COVID-19 marketing campaign? Just how we, the people, are not to look at this and think we aren't being fleeced. Just a little more. I'll now read from an excerpt from a very important document that ultimately established the power of the people of the United States. Governments are instituted and deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new government. But when a long train of abuses and usurpation pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of a free people. This is from the Declaration of Independence written by our ancestors and sent to a ruler who did not care about the needs and concerns of his subjects. I say this now as a warning to you and anyone else who might with an iron fist and treat their people like scum. Your time is coming to an end. You will not see another turn. You will be replaced. You will not get another chance to sell our future to the highest bidder like you're trying to do now. The only thing you have left to control is your legacy. Will it be one of moral integrity who represented the will of his people and stopped this disgusting disease of solar, or one of shame and corruption that you currently now project that we all clearly here see tonight?
My name is Jody Stevens, and I am extremely nervous. I've never spoken public. I'm passionate about this. I respect these farmers. I grew up as a child. I pull over for them. I give them all kinds of room. My grandpa was a farmer, and this is totally wrong. I moved in the country with my children 26 years ago. I wanted to live in the country. I wanted to have combines and fields around me and to be able to look out and about and not look at solar power or windmills or whatever wheels that we just found out about a few days, or at least I got a letter just a few days ago. It's pathetic. It lets off radiation. It contaminates the water with arsenic, lead, other chemicals I can't even remember all the names for. There's heat that radiates during the night. If they choose to go back against their solar panels, I'm not educated on this. I've just learned in the last couple of days, but we will be stuck with all the mess that's left over. If they decide, the farmers who agree to this, they don't want to do it after 2 years. I know that because I cash rent to a farmer who he cash rents the small amount behind us. And I texted myself and asked him if this was true. And it is true. He went against all of us. Like they said, we had no warning at all. There was no public meetings. People just did things hidden behind our back. And now I found out that the land to my left, to my right, and behind me, my 5 acres has the potential to be surrounded by solar panels or windmills. I don't want that. Why can't they put it where there's already factories that are breaking down? I mean, we have good crops around here. We've had farmers here for hundreds of years. It belongs to us, and people need to speak up and fight for what we want. I also would like to address something that I found out today, that on 100 North of Marion in the country, there is I think it was 4 acres sold for $200,000. There's a shed on there. There is containers on there, and it is owned by China. So this is not conspiracy. Open up your eyes and look around, because we're being taken over. Thank you.
Depending on how long this guy talks, this may be the last one for the first half hour.
I'll work to be short.
Okay.
You're excused. Michael Luke, Grant County. A little bit down the road from where the young lady just said 4 acres have been sold recently. I'll say that a lot of new information has probably come to the public's awareness since 2 years ago when an ordinance was considered, and depending on which version you want to say is the right one, was either passed or recommended. Visibility of sun is medicine when it comes to governance. Putting sunshine on an issue is the best medicine. Not holding something in back rooms in discussions with a few number of people or subjects like this. As of 3 weeks ago, when I took a look in the recorder's records, there were at least 5,000 acres of farm ground that are under lease to solar companies. That's an approximation. That's not accurate. There may be more. I may not have seen everything. I just only went back about 4 years. That's 3 sections, roughly, of ag ground. Maybe 2 3/4, but 3. A significant amount of productive land that would be taken out of production, basically for 50 to 70 years. There are probably about 5 companies, solar companies, that I saw names of associated to those leased acres. Anybody can go up there and look themselves, find out what they are. So visibility and sunshine are the best governance. This morning at the commissioners' meeting, 2 citizens, voters, were here at this microphone and requested of the commissioners a public meeting to hear information, hear opinion, gain information to the commissioners, as well as to obtain information from the commissioners of what the projects are that are out there. Really isn't important. A request was made. The commissioners, I believe it's Mr. Mosley, said we will take that under advisement. I hope since about 10:30 this morning, a decision has been pondered and some information will be forthcoming if they will schedule such a meeting. Thank you very much.
This will be the last one until we discuss further.
Hello, my name is Brandon Gall. I'm a 3rd-generation farmer here in Grant County. And I think as you heard from most of the people speaking, the people of Grant County don't want this. The people of Grant County don't want this because it doesn't benefit the people of Grant County. A great example of that is a farm that my family owns is completely circled by ground that's been signed up for solar programs. And that ground's not owned by people who live in Grant County. It's been bought by carpetbaggers from Delaware County who wanted to invest in the solar program so they could get easy money that way. They don't care about the community. They don't pay into the community. The people who live here don't care. The farmers don't care. The people who benefit from this are the solar companies and people who've inherited ground who don't have anything invested in it, and commissioners apparently. So if you really want to serve your people who've elected you here, you need to oppose this. I hope you do. If you don't,
He won't be in office very long, I don't think. I do have handouts here for you that have graciously been provided by Jason White and the anti-solar people, so if I may hand those out.
That's Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Again, I would ask you to please oppose this. As all the people in this room show, the population of Grant County does not want solar invested in this county. Thank you very much.
Okay, we hit our half-hour mark. Just a moment. Just a moment. We hit our half-hour mark. I think there may not be, but is there anybody here that is in favor that would like to speak? We want to get due time if necessary. Or anybody here that would be in favor or speak in favor of solar coming to Grant County, or what is on the thing? Is that a hand up? This is 4, correct? You come to the podium.
That flag over here.
Hold on. Step use that mic. Why don't you just stay right here? We'll get a mic down to you.
Sounds that.
Okay, I'm going to read a letter that my sister-in-law wrote. And this is her brother, Charlie. My brother and I own family farm in Grant County. Neither of us have adult children who are interested in farming the land. Throughout the past 3 years, we have been following the growth of solar energy in Indiana. Through research and carefully comparing pros and cons, we made the decision to commit our land to solar. Currently, there are both approved and completed solar farms in counties throughout Indiana: Blackford, Pulaski, DeKalb, Elkhart, Randolph, Clinton, and others. In Stark and Pulaski counties, the largest solar farm in the county, 13,000 acres, is in the 3rd stage of development, scheduled to be completed in 2024. Closer to Grant County is a 1,700-acre solar farm north of Frankfort. While we may disagree on the location of solar farms, the growing need for clean energy is rapidly increasing. According to the Richard Lugar Center for Renewable Energy, in 2021, Indiana ranked 6th in the country for solar project development. From my research, solar installations are predicted to increase by 52% in the next few years. Grant County has an opportunity to actively offset carbon emissions, reduce America's foreign dependency, lessen the effects of climate change, and increase Indiana's energy security. Grant County has an opportunity to stimulate the local economy and generate substantial tax revenue, which would benefit local schools, community services, and other areas in need of development.
Excuse me. Let's have a little respect, all right? We have a citizen here that has a point of view that needs to be expressed, those need to be expressed. So this undertone talking, please, so everybody can hear.
Thank you. Solar farms will continue to be developed throughout Indiana, whether we like it or not. Endless research and much factual information is available to inform and guide our decision process.
I appreciate the time spent by the Grant County Commissioners as they consider the advantages and disadvantages of the presence of a solar farm in Grant County. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's the address.
Yeah.
Did she give her address?
She's probably filling it out on the form like everybody else.
Sandra Heyman. And it's 2185 West Woodview Drive, Marion.
Does the gentleman wish to speak also?
Please.
Okay.
Some saying he does. But we just moved in. I don't remember the address, but I want to start out with by saying I feel like Rosa Parks' husband, and what's going on, mad at each other, calm down and what it is, get 3 or 4 different information from it. You'll realize there is good things, there is bad things about solar. We signed a contract on with Apex. We checked on Apex for 6-8 months. We visited some of their places, 2 of their places. They were kept up like your yard is kept up. If and when they fail, if they ever do fail in the contract, they have to put that ground back to the original condition. They take the panels out. They take the brackets out. They take the panel that it sets on.
Foundations.
And the foundation for, and all the cable. Kenny Cates, I think in a meeting last year, which Kenny's a good friend of mine, said that they'd leave that cable there. That cable will come out and they will repair the, in the contract says they will repair the tile ditching. A lot of people said, well, that's a lie, and that's, they're just writing that down to get you, but they've been up front with us. We had nobody to give our ground to. We feel that when I was a child in 1945, if we got 40 bushel an acre of corn, I think Dad went out and smoked a cigarette. But now you're getting 350 or 250 to 300 on some ground, and we're going to meet the food problem here in the world because we're the producers, and if you're fighting that price, the price is demand on how much there is in need. And if you don't need it, you're not going to pay high prices. Corn was up real high this year. You could have futured it. Beans was up real high. Now it's down, and they want to complain about that. But all I have to say is give it a look. I think it'll never run out. You can't run electricity from here to San Francisco. If you know anything about what you do, electricity. But I do want to say one thing. I'm sure the gentleman is a fine person, but picking on one of the people here I thought was out of line and should never been. I wouldn't raise a hand and cry for anybody that said that about me. So, and I don't know Steve. So
thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor?
I just have a couple questions for him. Did you try to sell your ground before you tried this?
Yeah.
Also, did they contact you?
We did try to sell the ground, but The ground has been in our family for over 100 years. And it's got down.
Farmers around here that'll treat that land like their own. Absolutely. All right. So those are private matters, between them and the developer. You want to talk to them outside of here? So anybody else before we have discussion among ourselves, if any? Do we need to hear more or do we got the gist of what?
Chuck, I've got something to say.
I'm talking to the commission right now. We've listened to both sides a little bit in a good half hour, well, close to 45 minutes. Do we wish to continue? Or for a few more minutes or bring it to a close? As we know, the ordinance is has passed, the one that's on the books. I would encourage everybody, I'm sure, I would hope everybody out there has read it. As far as what is in there and what is not, there's things out there that I've seen talking about that's not the way I understood the ordinance. So I would encourage you to read the ordinance that was developed, albeit maybe by the commissioners, more so than the rest. But that is what's on the books at the moment. The one that I would say is like the decommissioning. Well, if they go bankrupt, they're going to walk away and then the county is going to be responsible for removing that. If the ordinance is followed completely, up front, even before they put a shovel in the ground, they have to put money off to the side in a bond held not by them, if I recall, to cover the cost of taking it apart. So that is within the ordinance. These are things that all the steps that they would have to go. That's one of many steps. So Steve, you had a comment or? I'm sorry. No, Andy.
Somebody to give us some background on this document here. I don't know who generated this, but somebody.
I did. Can I have 3 minutes?
Yeah. We're asking for input on this document here.
You can have mine through too.
Jason White, Upland, Indiana. I know this is all about money, so this is about a printout that shows you as a farmer what we would spend at Co-Alliance, what we'd spend at John Deere. It's figured around 1,000 acres of corn, $400 and some $1,000 spent on fertilizer and chemicals at a local Co-Alliance, AgBest, Sears, whoever you use. Soybeans, $200 and some $1,000 spent for fertilizer. So when that goes to solar, that's money that's taken away from the local co-ops.
It's annually, right?
Annually, that's annually. That's just for 1,000 acres. That's just 1,000 acres. We're not throwing in equipment. Whether you want to run John Deere, run Red, whatever you want to run. $197,000 a year for corn, $167,000 for beans. That's money you're taking out of the local economy. Fuel, all of that. That's jobs. Co-Alliance runs 16 people full-time, 6 to 8 people in busy season. So you're losing farm ground, you're losing jobs for people. So that's just a printout to show you what farming is. You look at the extra revenue you're getting, but you don't take in consideration these numbers right here, and they're big numbers. And you guys probably had no idea of $100,000 in 1 year just to put a corn crop out on 1,000 acres. It can be big. And then one other thing, I'm a seed dealer. I got seed customers in Pulaski County with the largest solar panel farm in the Midwest. 2 years, they still got no panels. $39 an acre is what they're getting till they get panels. So whatever they promise you, they promise the same people. They thought they were getting panels right away. Over that 2 years, $39 an acre. They got people up there that bought ground for this big money, and now they're wanting to sell the ground because the $39 an acre is not paying the rent. So you gotta just look. It's not all free. You're giving away a lot of income, a lot of families. This is how we thrive. Don't do it. We've fought this in Delaware County. I've been in solar for the last 3 years of my life. Delaware County and Grant. Got customers up there. Researched the hell out of it.
Cost us a lot of money in lawyers. That's where this is going. I'm telling you right now. This ordinance, it's gonna be in court. And we got good lawyers, because we fought it in Delaware. So anybody that thinks we need, get a hold of me and let's go. So, yeah. Oh.
If that was in response to a handout, you would want to continue listening?
Yes.
I'm talking to commissioners. I'm asking us, do we want to continue tonight listening? Set another time limit and that'd be it?
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah, thank you. We do have a member that has to leave to get to work. Robert, you're excused.
Unfortunately.
It is 9:00. We'll go up to half an hour and then maybe we'll call it quits. Same thing, 3 minutes.
Thanks for coming, Robert.
All right. My name is Mark Sevilla. I live at 1902 North Roy Avenue in Northern Marion. I just found out about this probably 2 weeks ago, like a lot of people in this room. My wife and I have been trying to buy our property that we currently live in for almost a decade. 3 years ago, we built a house. We have close to $500,000 invested in this. And come to find out, a solar farm is going right next to my property. Probably, the ordinance is 300 feet. From my residence, it'll probably be 20 feet, 30 feet into the field. I don't understand why the setbacks are so close. If you guys can answer that, it's way solar friendly. It's not protecting us residents. I know the farmers are not, but us that are not farmers, we're also losing a lot of money on this. There is no way if that farm goes in, then I'm going to get what I have into my property. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Bozell, and I live at 4879 West, 500 North, Marion, Indiana, out in the northern part of Grant County. I grew up on a farm. My father farmed. He grew up in the Depression, and he worked for every penny that he invested in the farm ground that he purchased. And I was lucky enough to be an heir to that. And I still farmed that ground to this day. I spoke with solar companies this summer. 2 of them came to my property wanting to put solar on our ground. And I was actually very interested in solar because I wanted to know if there was a possibility of using and utilizing that technology to provide a quote green energy, a cheaper energy, a better source of electricity for parts of the farm, if not all of it. And so what I was told in the contract that they brought for me to sign, and the gentleman that was up here earlier that actually signed a contract, what I was told was completely opposite of what he was told. I had to sign a contract for 30 years. I'm 54 years old. Y'all can do the math. My daughter is 31. She will be 61 years old before that contract expires. I am responsible at the end of that contract. I'm not sure what they were told, but on the contract that they brought for me to sign, I'm responsible. Not them, not the company. I'm responsible for removal of those solar panels and restoration of the ground. Not the company. I have to figure out where and how to get rid of those panels. Would any of you all or anybody else that lives in the city here, does anybody else want to contract out your front yard or your backyard or your side yard that you own? Do you want to contract that out for someone for 30 years? No, you don't. I can't sell that property. My daughter, if I die tomorrow and she inherits that ground, she lives in Indianapolis. She can't sell that property either. 45 acres was the minimum. I said, what about, I had a rolling area that we don't really use, about 8 acres. Would they be interested in that? Oh, no. Why can't we put it on tops of buildings on the roofs? Why are we putting it on the farm ground where all of y'all's food, and mine included, and everybody else in this room's food is grown? And not just cattle and hogs and chickens, but all of the food that we consume is grown in the ground. All of it is. And you all know that. And so every farmer in here has many buildings. You all have buildings. Why are we not putting solar panels on the top of the roofs? I also own property out in Arizona. Arizona has 360 days of sunshine in the area where I live or have a place out there. You don't see solar farms out in Arizona. We don't have that many days of sunshine here in Indiana. Why are we using the prime farm ground in the Midwest to put solar panels on supposedly for green energy? Why are we not putting it on the roof of the building? You know what his answer was? Well, because we can't promise the integrity of that structure. Do y'all think your homes are going to be here in 30 years? Did you build a home recently in the last 5-10 years? Chuck, you're building a home down in Tennessee. Do you think that home will be there in 30 years?
I sure hope so.
It should be, yes. Why can't they put solar panels on tops of homes instead of taking up farm ground? Or your front yard or your backyard? Well, you couldn't sell your property here in Sweetser because you had solar panels on that property, and Jordan was forced to own that property for the rest of her adult life. My grandchildren will be 33 years old in 30 years if I sign a contract with them. What's your grandchildren? How old are they going to be in 30 years when that contract is up? Do you want to sign all of your homes over? And no one in your family, you can't sell it, your children can't sell it, and your grandchildren can't sell it. Because somebody else technically owns it. That's what's happening with solar that they're not telling you. I'm pretty sure Sarah doesn't want to have to be sucked into having to maintain your property either for the next 30 years or her children. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Steve Holzleiter. I actually reside in Blackford County, but I own ground in Blackford and Grant County. I'm a fourth generation farmer, and I would like to speak on a little bit different. I will tell you right now, I'm against this, but calmly I'll tell you why I'm against it. 3 years ago, I retired from the operators union as a crane operator, working on a turbine farm. And I seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I will promise you one thing, there's more bad and ugly than good. So 3 years ago, I was approached and I took on a heavy equipment dealership for a company called Hydromax Ditching Machines. This company makes ditching machines for farmers. I actually have a couple customers in here tonight. But we also provide machines to the wind farms and the solar farms across the United States and Canada. And I deal with those companies on a monthly and sometimes daily basis. And I mean daily. And I promise you, they've been to my house multiple times, the solar and the wind, both has to sign up. And I will very cautiously and calmly tell you one thing. Do not make your children pay for the sins of their father. And if you understand that, you will take a hard look at this. And here's why. The contractors come in, the companies come in, they will promise you the world. I see it daily. And I will promise you, they will blow more smoke up your ass than a 3-alarm house fire. But the truth of the matter is, all they care about is their payday at the end. Because it's government subsidized, and what they want is their end payment. Okay? I promise you, I'm dealing with one of them right now in Iowa. They are cutting down wind turbines that only have been up 8 years. They're dropping them with torches. And if you think that the same thing will happen with solar panels, you're wrong. I can get you those too. This is not something that I, as a heavy equipment dealership, enjoy dealing with. It's a necessity evil. I wish I didn't have to deal with them, but I do. But I can tell you right now, you don't want this in your backyard. And if you need more information on it or you need some insight, I'd be more than happy to show you that on a first-hand basis. Thank you for your time.
Linda Morgan, I'm from Upland. I think having solar is a good thing, but what I'm finding out is that those companies go bankrupt real quick. I had solar installed on my farm just for personal use, and it worked about a week. And then the company went bankrupt, and it's almost 2 years that I've been trying to have solar working on my farm. So, you know, the companies are looking at the money subsidies that everybody's talked about. And that's going to dry up. It's not out there forever. The government's already so far extended. But I just wanted to make everyone aware that yes, in a few years, all this promise might not actually happen. Okay.
My name's Kyle Whitman, and what I'm hearing from a lot of people, and what I think that you guys need to understand is you guys keep on saying ordinance, ordinance, ordinance. You can't eat solar, but you can eat them crops, and you can eat the stuff that's coming from them crops. At the end of the day, this ordinance, we need to think about it. We've had companies coming in, we've had people, countries coming in, buying up farmlands, buying up stuff. Let's change that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here want the ground. Pretty sure a lot of people here will take care of it the way that it's supposed to. It isn't going to be these people taking care of solars. And the people that say that they're going to take care of it, like some solar companies, they ain't going to take care of it. They're not. They're going to be stuck left taking care of the mess. And it isn't going to be even you guys. It's not going to be me. It's going to be my kids, my grandkids. Think about that at the end of the day. We are here, and we are here to take care of the generation behind us, not line our pockets today. If you guys are all about money, suck that out, hand you $100 bill, eat it right now. Tell me how full you guys are going to get. But I can tell you, these farmers right here, they've taken care of me, you, and everybody else for many years. They're going to be here today, tomorrow, and far into the future. That's all I got to say.
Hi, my name is Derek. My wife, Annabelle, and I are kind of new to town. We lived in the Tremont area for a few years, and we kind of like Marion, and so we invested in some property out in Landis, thinking we got the best of both worlds. You're still close to amenities and nice things that Marion has to offer, and then you still got your peace and quiet out in the country. My biggest issue was that this didn't seem to be right to know information upon me buying my modular and my couple acres I got, and I don't have a stake in any farmland. And where that's concerned, this is all just terrible, and it's a big swindle, in my opinion. But for anybody that wants to move into that newer area, or into that area, like myself, they don't have the right to know that your property is probably going to depreciate sooner rather than later because of because of the solar farms that are coming. So I mean, we have a lot invested, and right now it's like I feel like we kind of just got the big boot. Like, I've invested a lot just in my small amount of land and home, a lot. And I think it's also very ironic that our property taxes have been raised under the guise that all of our, homes and our land and everything is worth more. Well, I'm not so sure about that, considering it's going to take a steep decline. Now, from where I'm sitting, it seems like here we're having a fire sale on some property. Let's up those property taxes to make sure we can balance it out when people's property values and all those things just plummet. Which is, I hope it doesn't happen. Maybe plummet is too strong of an adjective or verb or whatever, but, you know, I've been around here for a year. What do I do? Do I move? Do I sell everything I've worked for? Because I worked really hard to bring my family up out of Hamilton County to get out of the rat race of all that. I don't know if y'all know anything about Hamilton County, but it's a rat race down there. We moved up here to get away from these things. And so it just really stings that it's not considered right to know information for somebody that's going to, you know, I thought about living right there my entire life. Maybe not now. And I'd also be, I'm not going to ask for an answer from each individual. Maybe it's not even the same people that was here 2 years ago, but do any of these solar, you know, projected places these solar farms are going to be put? I think everyone begs the question, does it affect any of you people here that voted on it? Really like to know among who voted for it, whose property was butted up right up against it like a bunch of ours. And, you know, it's a shame. It's a real shame. Thank you.
Mr. Breedy.
Good evening, gentlemen. Everyone in attendance tonight, great turnout. Oh, just let them shrunk. Sir, go ahead.
I think it's something that everybody would be interested in knowing. I think there is some confusion here about what this body has done about solar over the last couple of years. This body proposed an amendment that was very restrictive, okay? And gave that to the commissioners. The commissioners determined that they did not like that. They had an ordinance that they had developed themselves. They threw out what this body did, and they then are the folks that you really ought to be addressing. They are the ones that are the decision makers. This body and the action that has been taken by this body has been in full support of what you folks are out here talking about. So this is really not a place where we can do it. We did everything that we could as far as area plan is concerned. It was the commissioner's final decision, and they determined to come out with the ordinance that we are currently under. Okay, so I'm not sure everybody understood that here in the group. You think that speaking to us that we have some that our input has already been dismissed.
Mr. Bothwell, was it?
We know that.
Yes.
So, listen, thank you for solidifying what many of us knew, some of us didn't know. You solidified, we now know where to channel the anger and the outrage, right? So we'll show up to your meetings as often as possible, and we'll show up to your office as often as possible. Anyway, back to what thanks, sir. Thanks for clarifying that. Everyone, if you didn't hear, we need to be angry with the commissioners, not the APC, because they made a recommendation. The commissioners took it upon themselves to throw that out. So let me ask, APC, are you not here to make suggestions about area and the land? Is that your job? Because from sitting here since 6:30 p.m., that's my understanding. You take information, you make recommendations to the commissioners.
That's correct.
Right.
And we did.
You, sir, and your committee should probably take those recommendations, because if you don't, why do they come here? Why do they show up? Unless to listen to zoning complaints or requests? No, this is big. So my point is this. Many of you are elected. I want you to take a look around, because there are people here that can talk all night about solar this and solar that, whether it's good or whether it's bad, but I think we can all agree. A majority of us here, they think it's bad. And I can confirm to you that we packed this room, we packed the lobby, and they were packed around the windows. I know it because my buddy stood out there for over an hour trying to get in here and speak his piece. I want you to remember that many of you are elected. We have men, we have women. People who live in the country, we have people who live in the city. You've heard letters from people who live in the city. We have young-aged, school-aged children here. We have old people. Pay attention to the people that are here, because it's not one group, It's not one gender and it's not one location. The decisions you have made are sweeping this county. And you're put on notice because the people here are speaking and we, the people, are saying that we don't want anything to do with this. So it's you and your committee's job to represent us and do what you were elected to do. Thank you for your time.
Ed Hartman, Fairmount, Indiana area. Anything. Now, a couple points just to clarify. Fairmount is my home area. I appreciate that. I love living out in the country and I don't want to live around solar. And once you open this up, it isn't going to be enough. What's signed up now isn't going to do it. There's going to be more and more and more. And the commissioner's ordinance, draft 4, has no cap, no limit. It's wide open. Also, as was mentioned by Jackie Sheets, that ordinance was adopted without a public hearing, and that is against state law. That's very clear. The only public hearing was by this body, draft 7. And it was certified as an ordinance at that time and delivered to the commissioners who did nothing with it. Oh, they said they amended it with draft 4. Commissioner Bardsley gave a whole length of facts that he determined were different between 4 and 7. They were not alike. Draft 7 was a protective ordinance. Draft 4 looked like it had been written by the solar companies. It was what they wanted. Didn't have anything to do with what the people of this county wanted. You guys did your job. You passed draft 7. You sent it to the commissioners. It was almost unanimous. They took almost 90 days. And then they said they amended it with draft 4 and sent it back. That really doesn't make much sense. When you amend something, you change a little of it or some of it, or maybe even a lot of it. And you were also supposed to list the reasons and the changes you were making when you sent it back. But that really wasn't done correctly either. But it's a fact, it didn't have a public hearing. Now, draft 7, since it was set aside and nothing was done with it, they had a choice. State code gives them adopt, amend, or reject. They chose amend, but it really didn't make sense. Okay? Basically what happened was draft 7 was rejected and draft 4 was just sent to the APC. If you don't do something with draft 7, on the 91st day, it's law. It's law right now. Draft 4 is illegally adopted and it can't be law. So it's not that it can't be somehow fixed. If you guys wanted to initiate amendments, you could start the process again. Or we can fight this out further, that draft 7 is law. I don't know that we want to waste the county's money. This seems like a solvable problem for cooler heads and calm discussion. I propose that is what gets done. You can take it any way you want. I mean, it's just a recommendation. Thank you.
I just got a little audio clip I want to play you guys from a commissioners meeting maybe 2 months ago. This is an exchange between Mr. Branco here and and the Commissioner Bardsley. And there is some silence, so the silence is important. So
The first statement is where you commit not to take any campaign donations from solar developers, architects, developers, contractors wishing to build new jail or any other county offices.
hold on.
I mean, it's just a yes or no.
I think that's a political question that probably we need to talk with council about before we'd ever make a statement like that.
The answer wasn't no. I'll give it to Steve here. Steve actually did give the proper answer, and his answer was no. So we do have to give him that. But I just want everybody to know, if anybody's wondering the corruption of the commissioners who are pro solar, that wasn't a no.
Being bought.
We are coming up on the 9:30 mark. This could be the last one.
All right. Hi, I'm Andy Ellis. I'm from Fairmount, 8320 East Jefferson Place, to be exact. And I wanted to back up a little bit what Bob was saying here. And I wanted to give a little bit of history because not everybody has been through all this, and it's been a mess. Been a mess the whole time. What I did want to talk about was the fact that, over 2 years ago, this body, the Area Planning Commission, asked to come up, develop a solar ordinance for Grant County. And some of you were here at that time, and some of you were not here at that time. I tried to work within the guidelines of that. We didn't just come in, pound and table and said, no solar. What we tried to do was the public came in and the public basically worked with the APC and expressed what their concern was. I mean, everybody had similar concerns, but we learned a little bit from each other. And you had large crowds at the time, and several of the members expressed similar concerns about, inappropriate use of productive farmland. I mean, it's such a shame to even have to talk about that, but it's obviously not the right place for solar. There's a lot of brownfield sites that would being utilized. It would make a heck of a lot more sense to try to do that. If we're all worried about being green, let's turn our brownfields green instead of our greenfield brown. Setbacks were a big issue, and it was debated. And they came up with a number, I think 1320 was the number they came up with. And again, that was from your dwelling, not from your property line. But again, we tried to participate. Several of us tried to participate in the process to try so that we could come up with something that's manageable for Grant County and the people that live in it. I think that's what keeps getting lost, is the people that live in it are the ones that the folks here are supposed to represent. Property value protection, the solar companies will tell you it's not going to cost, it won't hurt your property values. Do you want to buy a house surrounded by a barbed wire fence out in the country? I mean, I think I could guess if it's cheap enough, maybe, but that's the whole idea of the property value. Another thing that hasn't been touched on here was BZA authority. The zoning board should have authority on where these things place. We talked about it today, right? We talked about a place where somebody wanted to put a pole barn in the middle of Fairmount. Thank you. And it requires that there are proper places for those places to be built. And that's the reason why there was a debate here. For some reason, they did not want, and this is the reason why, Steve, I'm sorry, you're the person here representing that group. The reason why people are so frustrated is that this was a concern. The PGO approves everything else except for you didn't want this. Your group, whoever came up with it, did not want that. And then a business case. A lot of us want to know what kind of money are we going to make off of this? And then conversely, how much money we're gonna lose because we're farming that ground. And all the trickle down from all the jobs and the seed companies and everything related to agriculture. So the APC listened to us. And as it's been stated, they approved the ordinance hearing. They took the information that was developed in the group and they came up with what I call the compromise. It didn't say you could not have solar. It just said that these are the requirements. There were others in there, but those are the ones that I wanted to, basically highlight. Draft 7 was sent to the commissioners. I call it the people's ordinance. It represented what the people were expressing, and at least the APC, the people that were there at the time, thought that it was reasonable because they're here to represent their constituents. Again, as Ed said, commissioners had 3 options: adopt, amend, or reject. I don't know how you can say that they amended it. Because, when this process, there was draft 4, draft 5, draft 6, and then got up to draft 7, which ultimately got approved. When they amended it, they called it draft 4. Now, my fingers and toes tell me that we did not amend. We did not go forward. We went back. So that just makes me wonder about the legitimacy of draft 4 at all, because it literally did not follow the process. We tried to follow the process. When it come time for the commissioners, sorry, Steve, when it come time for them to follow the process, they did not. So here we are. A lot of people are upset because the fact that a lot of people didn't know this thing's going to come around surrounding them. We think of solar. We think of things that have on the roof. We don't have anything against people having solar for their own personal use. But we're talking square miles of solar. And it just changed not just the topography, but the culture that we have here in Grant County. So draft 7, I'm not sure. It may actually be law. And draft 4 was not followed. One thing that was also said by Bardsley and Steve, Mr. Wright over here, was that we could always go back and amend draft 4. We needed to get something on the books. We could always go back and amend it. I am not aware, and I questioned it at the time. And why would you? You've already told us you don't care what we have to say. Nonetheless, you said that you could. I would suggest we need to at least live up to your word that you said there could always be amendments done after the fact. So anyway, I'm asking the APC to take a hard look at this. I'm asking Steve and to talk with your counterparts, take a better look at this, and we need to revisit this whole thing. And we really do need to follow the process, whether you like it or not. And they weren't done, and now we're sitting here in a mess. To address the other gentleman back there who couldn't understand why we're frustrated, he just happens to be the guy here, and so he's taken a lot of it. I know from a personal liaison with him, he told me he was going to address. I sent him 8 items that he requested, top 10 items of concern. I sent him 8. I met with him on a personal level, and he said he understood that things like farmland use, setbacks, property value, business cases, all those things needed to be addressed. He understood that, and he would address it. You didn't, bud. You did not. So I want you to take another look at it. People here don't like what we come up with because we didn't follow the process. Thank you for your time.
All right, I think that can I have a minute? 1 minute? Well,
Yes.
1 minute? Yeah. All right. You're entitled to 3.
I was the one that met with the commissioners this morning, and I asked them if we called a large public meeting, if they would be available
to answer questions. That took a while. Mr. Barsley said, I have to talk to my attorney. Steve Wright said, I think that has to go through the APC. But finally, I said, will or will you not? He said, we'll talk about it, talk to our attorney. I said, well, when will you tell me? He said, at the next meeting. So the next area plan meeting or commissioner meeting, we're supposed to get an answer. And that's going to tell the integrity of two commissioners, Mark Barsley and Steve Wright. Right there. It's like Andy Lyons said, we developed draft 7. We didn't say we could not have solar in Grant County. But there was protection for farmers, homeowners, businesses, and everything else. It was the most honorable draft that could have been written. And what happened, as Andy says, it was sent to the commissioners, and we had a majority vote. Ron Malley voted with us, and if it went to the commissioners before he got sick and had to resign, and they caucused and appointed Steve Wright, they had a choice to appoint a farmer, but boy, they wouldn't want to do that. But I'll tell you right now, there's two of the greatest minds on this area plan and BZA, and that's Bob Bothwell and Ed Hartman. And those are two of the people that some of the people here have been trying to get rid of. And I'll tell you what, if we get rid of some, it's not going to be them. And I'm looking at you. Right. But anyway, we'll see what happens, what kind of response we get. And I have one thing to say, including anybody that signs their good, productive farm ground to solar has 2 apologies to make to God and to their neighbors.
I think we've heard enough for this evening. And there's some truth there. We can make recommendations if we feel necessary. We'd have to do development through proper channels. By the same token,
What do you have to hear to make a recommendation? Can we keep going? You want me to call people back?
no, we hear, at least I hear you.
So are we gonna get there? Because you said you can, but you haven't given us any commitment, and I feel like a lot of the counties showed up. So can you give us a commitment that we're gonna make some progress here?
I think we as a group have to talk about it. Hopefully,
You tell the people who are in here in the first place, you've been to office and didn't let any of us know.
Put it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, when's the next meeting we can come to where we get some answers? Because you've heard from a lot of people, we can probably find some more.
Yeah.
And you capped us off talking. So we're done including you. So you tell us, have you heard enough? What more does it take? Tell us and we'll do it. We'll go find it. Steve, you got any suggestions? What more does it take?
What suggestions I'm sorry. Been listening.
Okay, so can we make movements?
I've taken a lot of notes.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Notes don't make movement, boss. You've been taking notes for years.
not me. I've only been here a little over 2 years.
They have, I'm sorry. They have. When can we get movement? How many more meetings does this many people need to come to before we get movement? Because right now you're just feeding us. You're feeding us verbal.
Let me make a comment.
you can't.
We are not allowed, sorry, I've got a real bad cold, sorry. But I didn't want to miss tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
I came because I wanted to hear, and I took notes. We discussed after Mr. Frankel asked us this morning about the meeting. When I was on the city council, we had hot and heavy things come to us as well. I was on there for 12 years. And know there's tons of emotions.
Oh, sir, I'm not emotional. I just want action. And everyone else here.
Steve is trying to talk. Let him speak, please.
Okay, I've listened to you guys all night.
Just don't misrepresent.
Say,
You're really talking. Okay?
there's an opportunity. You wanted him to hear from his side?
Go ahead, sir.
We're not allowed, the three of us, to meet. We can't meet. We did have a quick discussion after the meeting this morning to say, what do we think? I think I'm one of three, okay? I think we would like to have something the end of January, 1st of February. Past the holidays, let everybody get past the holidays and sit down and have this discussion that we wanted to have. But there will be order in the meeting, because we're going to be conducting the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, there's not going to be the hand clapping, there's not going to be the thing. We want to get down to the brass tacks about it. And if everybody's willing to do that, we're willing to have a meeting. Everybody agree with that?
Will the meeting lead to change? That's my question, because Mr. Chuck here, he's been talking all night. Sir, you just told us we're gonna have a meeting to talk. We want change, sir. We want change. We don't want a meeting to talk.
I'm one of three.
Understood, but you have an influence. Am I wrong?
I'm one of three.
But you were here to see the people speak.
Yes, absolutely. I want to ask my colleagues to watch this video?
Please do. But
Okay.
again, we want action. That's all we want. That's why all these people came tonight. And I understand, like, I think I'm speaking for everybody when I say that we'll continue to come and we'll continue to pack this room or whatever room you have until we get action. So my question is to you, my plea to you is, when we meet, let's have action instead of just talk. Can we do that? Can you at least commit to getting us action?
I don't know what kind of action you're looking for.
Change.
I mean, I understand what everybody wants. I understand what everybody wants. Okay, I do. That's in this room. There's a lot of other people.
The people that were lining the windows and in the lobby.
There's a lot of other people.
Okay.
And I find it very interesting on the responsible people for solar, whatever that Facebook page is, that you listed 8 different pages of flats.
Sir, I don't even have a Facebook.
Okay, well, listen, what's saying. You're one of all these people. Listen, okay, so, okay. In those eight, there's a lot of people that signed up. They're not here tonight. There's one. There's a lot of those people who have some. Represent them just as much. And so while everybody's angry here, and that's what happens, the mob comes out on anger.
Did you say mob? Deputy Strauss, how many of us have you removed?
Bring me in. All right. I believe Steve is making a good faith effort to get the other commissioners, which sounds like they're gonna at least listen, and whether they hear what you're saying and want to try to recommend changes, or us up here want to put forth maybe some recommendations and see if it goes forward or not.
To see the mob will be back, I'm sure.
Here's Jerry.
Jerry, you were one of.
I just like to make a statement. I want to thank everybody for coming out, number one. Number two, Mr. Hartman brought up a very good point this evening that I've wondered from the time all that happened, do we have a legal ordinance or not?
We don't.
And there's confusion with the county commissioner's lawyer and our lawyer, not Dave, he's new to this, but there was some confusion when that all went down and nobody knew what was legal, and we still don't, it doesn't sound like. I'd like to know, do we have ordinance 7 or do we have ordinance 4? Or do we have nothing?
Neither of them.
So
Commissioners.
that's where I'm at.
So they're gonna talk and they're gonna.
Dave, can you maybe review our process of what happened and maybe
Somebody to answer.
see what? I know you have to go back and check on.
To get background on what happened.
Right.
If somebody wants to meet with me and fill me in, sure, I'll be happy to.
And
What
see.
needs to be noted, Jerry, is the BZA voted unanimously to sue the commissioners because they don't believe that it is legal. And I think that process is in pride. I think they hired an attorney to look into that, and, I don't know what the results of that have been. Nobody's ever, it all just kind of goes into the background. But in answer to your question, and everybody else in here to know, is the BZA has taken exception to the ordinance that has been adopted by the commissioners. And they are charging that it is not legal because there wasn't a public hearing apparently or whatever. And that's being examined by an attorney, an outside attorney. And I don't know where it is at this point. Maybe Mr. Hartman could fill us in. He is president of BZA.
I have a question that I would like somebody to answer, and that is if solar is put on one of these farms, is it going to be reassessed? But the value of that ground is going to be quadrupled, and so there'll be more taxes to be paid on that. Is that correct?
That was my understanding, because it's assessed, it has a higher assessed value, yes.
It would be from agricultural utilities. Is that a fact, or is that just something that I was curious about?
I would have to say it's a fact. Anytime you make an improvement to land, it should be assessed higher.
So each acre is going to be worth probably about $800-900 in taxes more than it was before.
Solar company pays for that. Their contract.
It would actually have.
Says that, your taxes go up, they pay for it. And improvements go up, they pay for it.
It's a depreciated schedule. It will not be brand new as it is 30 years later because it depreciates like all assets of the property.
All right. Did you want to let Mr. Hartman answer your question or give an update?
Maybe Ed could clarify where this.
Do you want to clarify if there is any update or where that's bad or not?
In order for a lawsuit to have a good chance of winning, it needs to be somebody that is highly impacted by this solar farm. The BZA as itself is not highly impacted by the solar farm, which was what we found out. So the BZA will not be going forward with a lawsuit. I mean, it's just a fact. There's no point in the BZA doing that. Now, a group of individuals who are impacted, they would have the best chance of succeeding in court. That's fact. And so as far as your question, the additional equipment put out there will add taxing. Yes, that's correct.
Normal tax code.
The land is still taxed the way it was as land, but the equipment put on the land will be taxed additionally. The landowner, whoever owns that property, they're still responsible for paying that tax, even if the solar company stips them. And you can't evict a solar company. Once they put all their stuff on your land, you're stuck with it. If they say, oh, we're bankrupt, sorry, you're not getting your lease payment, you're not getting it. And you're not getting the property tax payment either. So this is a real buyer beware situation for those people who signed up. They should have consulted an attorney first.
So what I'm hearing you say, Ed, is that apparently there is some kind of grounds for litigation possibly, but the BZA really has no standing in pursuing that. But these folks, if they wanted, since they are the ones that are impacted, if they wanted to pursue that and have the information that apparently your group has gleaned from the attorney, that they would be ones that would have standing, and if they wanted to pursue that, hopefully we can avoid that, but that would be, that's a legitimate kind of consideration for you if you want to go forward.
I think we would like to work this out.
Yeah.
Ourselves.
I'd like to avoid it,
but there's been a lot of commissioner meetings attended, where questions were refused to be answered. So just putting that out there, you got to work both sides.
both sides have to be willing to cooperate and work towards a solution. If one side just digs in and says, no, it's my way or the highway because they can, then that's where people get frustrated. Thank you.
All right, so our next meeting is a planning meeting only for rules and procedures. The only topic of concern, we're shooting for January or December 18th, 6 o'clock. We're going to confirm that date is available for right here. Ryan, you'll get information or email or out for that. Then the next regular scheduled meeting will be January the 8th.
Yes.
All right. Take a motion to adjourn. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Steve.